So welcome back, everyone. This is Andre Johnson here with Sage Media. We're here for the final installment of our series interviewing some of the top programs in the PSAL. You know we had to save the champions for last. And today we're going to be talking to the coach of the defending city champion Eagle Academy, Coach Kevin Hamilton.
What's up, man?
Always nice to talk to you, Coach. Appreciate you. So, Coach, of course, there's only one place to start. We have to start back on St. Patrick's Day, 2023, in the Barclays. So, of course, everyone knows what was going through your mind when Eddie's shot went in. But when you went home and you were able to kind of process it and kind of settle down and look back at the season at that point, what was going through your mind that you are a city champion?
To be honest, by the time I was heading home, had already moved on in my mind to the next game.
Oh, wow.
We were able to celebrate in the locker room for some
So you
time.
didn't give yourself a night?
It was tough, man.
Even after Eddie's shot, you couldn't give yourself a night?
Once the season was over, I think I got to enjoy it a lot more. But at that point, we realized it was a great accomplishment and something that, I'm really proud that the guys were able to achieve. But, we still had another game. So we have to get refocused and try to go after states.
So how does it feel? You interview to be the head coach of Eagle, you talk to me and you say, hey, I'm going to deliver a city championship, and you come true on that delivery. How does that feel?
I never promised him that. But it feels great. I feel so connected to this community. I feel so happy for everybody who's involved. I've received messages from alums from when I was here and even previous to me coming here about how special of a moment that was for them. And, it makes things more enjoyable. And, I'm especially proud of those guys who put the work in every single day. To be able to achieve that for them, it was a great feeling.
So one thing that people don't see with Eddie, that he's always the first guy in, the last guy out. He's coming from far. He gets up shots every morning. So just talk about what it meant to see a kid like that have that kind of moment.
That's why I trusted him with that moment. Obviously he's one of, if not the best shooter in the PSAL. But what made me have faith in him in that moment is how many times I've seen him take that shot, how often he gets into the gym and practices these things. So, it feels great, in general, but especially for him. He dealt with a lot of adversity. The last time we were in the Barclays, he suffered a very serious injury. He had to battle back from that. So to come back from that moment and take advantage of the opportunity that he had like that, I was really proud of him and happy for him.
So Taj fouls out. It's about maybe 3 minutes left. I think you're down about 7. Maybe I'm getting that. I'm not sure if that's exactly right. But Xavier comes in. He pulls on that kind of performance. Now, you, of course, it's no surprise to you because you see him every single day. But just talk about Xavier and him having his moment.
Yeah, I think it's a similar situation to what I just mentioned with Eddie. X was a kid that was starting in the beginning of the year as a freshman when Taj was out. And though I think those reps really benefited him, but me having trust in him at the end of the game has to do with what I see from him every day in practice. That level of intensity that he played with in those 3 or 4 minutes, that level of confidence. He saved us, honestly. But, these are things that you work on throughout the year that, in any level, to gain the trust of your coach, you have to show it every day in practice. And that's what X has done since he's walked through his building. He's continued to do, and he's emerging as one of our leaders now. So I'm really excited for that. And I'm really happy that he had to have that moment.
Yeah, you felt like that moment wasn't too big for him.
No, not at all.
Absolutely. So speaking about that game, so Jefferson, it seemed like every time Jefferson was on a run, Eric Acker always had an answer for them. He was almost fending them off. But just talk about Eric, and not only Eric, but Treys and Emar and their impact on the program.
I mean, I'm not sure if there's enough words to be said about the impact that they've had. The only thing I can really speak on is how proud I am of them. It's difficult at times, especially the way that we coach here. We really hold these guys accountable, and it's difficult for them to get through the gauntlet, so to speak. And especially when they don't see, the immediate gratification. It's delayed gratification. They don't know if they're going to win a city championship. And to see them just chip at it every single day, Eric and Eric and Emar and Trey, they were tremendous leaders. They came in here and we worked harder than everybody else, and they demanded that of themselves. And sometimes you really don't have to when you have as much talent as they did. So, for them to be rewarded for that, it's a great feeling. I'm really happy for them, and I have a feeling they'll go on to win some more championships.
for Coach Strickland at LIU, absolutely. So let's just talk about leading up to the city playoffs. You guys, right in that back corner, you lost in very dramatic fashion to Jefferson in the Borough semifinals. Of course, I'm sure it was very deflating for everyone. You guys took a lot of pride in being the defending Brooklyn champions. I'm sure you wanted to defend it. So just talk about what you said to them after that moment and how you got them refocused. Because in the cities, you guys were looking like a train that could not be stopped. So just talk about how you refocused them for the city playoffs.
First, you have to give credit to Jefferson. This gym is a very difficult place to win. And, one thing about that team, that they're going to play with a level of toughness, and you're going to have to match their intensity. So, a lot of credit to them. But personally, I felt like that was the best thing that could have happened to us.
Oh, wow.
We went on a stretch, the weeks before that game. But we were winning by large margins. We were playing really well.
I'm not sure if you guys lost in 2023 until that point.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And we were rolling. And sometimes when you're winning at that level, with those type of margins, you can become complacent. You can become a little overconfident. You forget that if you don't perform at a high level, you can lose, especially in our league, any night. So that was a great wake-up call for us. And it was something I think drove us going to the cities, having a different sense of urgency.
Speaking about refocusing, of course, after the Barclays, it wasn't over. You still had to go and play Stepinac in the state playoffs. So just talk about that experience, getting those kids to play for such a prestigious crown, and just talk about refocusing the team again.
Yeah, unfortunately for us, and we didn't even know this until the game was over, but Trey broke his foot in the city championship game in the third quarter. And, aside from the 20 points and 20 rebounds, it's just a level of presence defensively. Trey, what I saw since he's been in our program that I think a lot of college coaches got to see later on is all the things that he does that don't show up on the stat sheet. And so we missed him severely. So it was difficult trying to figure out, how to cover up such a big hole.
The team still fought real hard in that game.
I think we did a really good job. We obviously played the Catholic League champions, and they're a very good team. And, they earned the victory. I thought the way that we came out and competed was an indication of our team's character. Obviously, we weren't happy with the result. Could have, the ifs and woulda, coulda, shouldas if we were at full strength. But, I was still proud nonetheless, and it was a great experience. And hopefully, we get to experience it again.
So you mentioned about, the team's mentality, and something I always talk about when I'm commentating the games is that I see the guards can rebound. The big men, they can put the ball on the floor and push the pace. Is that something you stress in practice, that everybody has to do everything?
Yeah, I think it depends on your personnel. We had the team and the guys that were able to do those things. Every year, that type kind of changes. We have a different team this year. So we have to see how we're going to be able to play to our strengths now. But last year, essentially all of the guys on the court were guards, even Trey for the most part. So we try to use that to our advantage. And in order to compete, when you have all guards on the floor, you have to have a mentality towards rebounding, especially when you're playing against bigger teams that I think we really adapted. Taj is a great rebounder for his position. Emar and Trey were battled, and everybody, Johnny, everybody understood that in order for us to be a good team, that was something we'd have to do and sacrifice for. So, it depends on personnel. I would love to continue to play that style, but we're going to have to see how it goes.
And just continue to continue talking about practice. Your practices are known to be very hard, very high intensity. Sometimes you and Kay and the coaches, you guys get involved as well. So just talk about those practices and how you keep that level of intensity so high throughout the season.
We are demanding.
Yeah.
And our practices are intense. I think in order for it to continue throughout the season, you have to have great leadership. You have to have the guys who are expected to perform every single night for your team, leading the charge and demanding it of themselves first, and then demanding it of their teammates as well. One of the biggest challenges we're going to have this year is, we lost 6 seniors, guys
Six seniors, wow.
who had been involved in this program for multiple years, knew how we operate. There were times that we can walk into a practice, it can almost run itself.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of new faces now, and that's a lot more pressure, on a Taj, on a Eddie, on a Johnny. But I wouldn't rather anybody else be in those positions than those guys. So I'm optimistic.
So, to speak about the new faces, the hot topic, excuse me, the hot topic, of course, is the transfer portal, if that's what you want to call it. So, what do you think about this new culture with kids able to transfer, and talk about some of the new players that have come into your program?
I'm torn with it, honestly. Obviously, if you're in a situation where a kid wants to come to your school and express his interest, and they're talented and have the ability to help your school, it's something that you have to consider. But sometimes I do think about what are the long-term ramifications of this culture, and what are the reasons for kids leaving schools? Like, is it because it's actually not a good fit, or is it because there's some level of uncomfortability that they really should be trying to fight through, or not playing as much as they wanted to, instead of having a mentality of earning their position, they just jump ship? I think sometimes that can lead to a weakened mentality, and something that kids will struggle with in college. But it's the reality now. It's
the games, the hands, the cards that you're dealt.
Yeah, that's the way things are now. So, I think all we can do in our position is provide an environment where kids, we didn't have much turnover. Guys that were here seem to like it, seem to want to be here. I think it's difficult to leave a situation like Eagle, not just because of the basketball aspect and what we've been able to accomplish, but the school, the academic reputation, the environment. I was talking to Taj earlier when we played boys and girls in his game that he returned. Like, for a school to be that in tune to the program, they gave him a standing ovation, like he was Paul Pierce or something coming out of the tunnel. So it's difficult, especially when you see the progress that you can get from being in this system and working hard every single day. I think, we have a pretty stable situation, but I guess we'll adjust to whatever happens. I anticipate something's going to be done about this at some point. But, I try not to concern myself with that stuff. Just, when the kids are 14, 15 kids that are on the team in front of me, we work as hard as we can. We just let the chips fall, they fall.
So just like you said, you have a core, you have Eddie, you have Taj still here. How do you think, new member coming in, Jakai, kind of fits in, and talk about some of the other guys as well?
I've been really happy with Jakai.
Yeah.
Obviously he's one of the most highly touted players in New York City. And coming into a situation like this, after a team had the level of success that they had, how you come into that situation means a lot. And he's been such a joy to coach so far. Very, attentive. Anything that's been asked of him, he's done. And some of that stuff, I'm sure, has made him uncomfortable. That, the pace that we do things here.
Yeah, it's an adjustment.
Yeah, it's an adjustment for him. But, he keeps plugging every single day. He's been a great teammate. I'm really happy with him, and I'm glad.
You're glad he's with your program, right?
He's in the Eagle jersey. So I'm anticipating big things for him, and I'm proud of how he's approached the situation. And then obviously we have Ahmed Ibrahim as well, transfer from Edison, who, again, it's going to be an adjustment. But, I've been really happy so far. We've only been in a workout setting so far. We're not practicing or anything like that. But I'm really happy with, the intensity, the focus. They want to be a part of something special.
Are you going to talk to them about playing in front of all the fans in the Eagles Nest, or is that something they're just going to have to experience?
Yeah, I think it's an experience that, once we get to that point, the work majority of the work has been done.
Yep.
So, there's going to be a lot of things that they probably haven't experienced before that we're going to have to experience as a team, and that's not just them. This is our first time being city champions. Teams are going to be gunning for us. We're going to be hunted. We're going to have a target on our back. We have to learn how to approach those things. And, ultimately, it always comes down to how we approach every day in practice, how we approach every rep when we're together in this gym. And like I said, if we come with the right focus, right energy, right mentality, you just have to chase forward for it.
Is it a different mentality coming into the season as the champions, or is it try to keep it the same?
I don't think it's for us. I think, externally there's probably a lot of expectations. I don't come into a season. Obviously, the goal is to win the city championship and to win every game. That's the goal. But I think we've done a good job of not getting too high or too low, and making sure that we come into the practice setting with the mentality of just getting better today. And if we continue to do that, we'll be a much better team in February than we'll be in November, and we'll give ourselves an opportunity to compete for a city championship.
Yeah. And just to talk about your coaching staff, just talk about Coach K and Booth, unfortunately, who's not here anymore. Just talk about their impact on the program.
Yeah, we're gonna miss Coach Booth. He was a staple in our program. We have an entire drill named after him. But just like the goal for our players is for them to progress to the next level, it's the same thing for our coaching staff. They have an experience, they learn the ropes, so to speak, and then we will want opportunities to present themselves. So we're really happy for him. Coach K is my brother.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to have him on staff. This doesn't happen if Coach K is not here. I'm well aware of that. The way he's able to communicate with the kids. We sort of a liaison between me and the kids sometimes.
Yeah.
He's really boots on the ground type of guy. And and he's just been so supportive of me since he came through the door. So it's a position that he's been a head coach in the grassroots up there for his entire life, to come and accept this position and accept a system that he didn't create and follow it.
Yeah.
And, it says a lot about his character. We added Rod Dunn, former Jefferson guy.
You added him?
Yes, he's on our staff. We're not going to hold that he went to Jefferson against him. Who's done great so far. And Rayvon Moresby, who was a former player of ours in the early days, that knows the system.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really happy with the staff. The guys, have come in with a high level of energy. We're all on the same page. Coach Ryan Francis as well.
Yes.
He's been a godsend for us as well in terms of organization of our program and the relationship with the kids and outreach. He's another guy that's my brother, and he's really helped us out to be a real asset to us. So I'm excited about the staff. I'm excited about the team.
Absolutely. So last question is a very general question. What's your general outlook on the upcoming season? Again, you have some of the most highly touted players coming in. A lot of people are talking about Eagle Academy, target on your back. What's your outlook on the season?
I mean, at this point, it's really too early to say.
Yep.
We haven't had a competitive scrimmage, a competitive game. We don't necessarily know what our weaknesses are. So it's hard to say. But what I do believe is that we're going to put a good quality of basketball on the court every single night. The kids are going to represent themselves well, the school well, their families well. They're going to play extremely hard. They're going to communicate. They're going to do all the things that are necessary to be in a winning environment and culture. And, what that results in, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we're competing for a city championship again. But, I think it's important that we don't let anybody's expectations outside of this room influence how we work every single day. That's not how we got to this point. And, I expect us to be an exciting team to watch.
So Coach Kevin Hamilton, it's always a pleasure.
No problem.
So that concludes our series, guys. We're going to be around the PSAL all year long, so please subscribe, be in the chat. We love to talk. Good night.